What's going on, XRP Army? My entire thing is messed up. I thought I started already. I'm trying something different and it's all jacked up. So let me fix my chat bar and we will get started. Tried something new and it jacked me all up. So without further ado, XRP price is sitting at a decision point right now. It is teetering on the edge right now of a decision on the 1 week chart. Now, I'm looking at 3 different indicators that are going to tell us how this is going to play out. Okay. And I'm feeling a little weird because I already went through this once, thought I was streaming and I wasn't. But so we are teetering on the line right now. And by the end of the stream, my goal is to give you guys an idea of exactly what to expect so you can decide first and foremost quickly on what's going to happen. Now, again, we are here for the long view. We're here for what's going to happen a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But it's important to understand what's happening in the market. And the price is looking at a very, very big decision right now. So when we're looking at the price, and what's happening with the price, we always focus on the 1 hour chart on my channel. We're looking at the EMA 9. I'm looking at 3 indicators that are going to determine if we're looking at a breakout to new all-time highs or if we're looking at a potential crash back down to $1.75. Again, engage in the chat. I appreciate you all for your patience. Let me know you're here. And I thank every single one of you for being here. But moving back into where we are on the chart. So we're hovering right around EMA 9 on the 1 hour chart. This is important. We're retesting this level, this 212 level. And I was looking at 215 as something I stated earlier based off a guesstimate of what I thought EMA 9 was going to be for the 1 week chart, because the 1 week chart is what I ultimately use to determine if we're looking at a breakout or not for XRP. And here's why. If you look at EMA 9 on the 1 week chart, every single time we have broken above and closed above, it has concluded with a massive breakout. Happened here, here, here. Okay. We are fighting with that right now. This week, we pulled all the way up to 240. We crossed the EMA 9, but we have fallen all the way back down and we are testing it right now at 213 to 215. We need to close above EMA 9 and then start our new candle on the way up. If we can do that, that will open us up to a potential breakout. If we fall below EMA 9 and close below EMA 9, we can continue this downtrend to $1.75. This is the biggest indicator that we can look at to see what is actually happening with the price as far as the structure in the trading. Now, moving aside from that, I said I have 3 different indicators. The second one I look at is ETFs. Now, we know we have negative outflows yesterday. First time ended the 56-day streak. The only other cryptocurrency that has had a longer streak was Bitcoin, with 72 days. And again, this was during a bear market. A lot of these people were buying during the downtrend. So what was it? I think 21 shares started their ETF with like 100 million XRP. So a lot of these ETFs were purchased around under $2. So it's not to be expected that some of them are going to start taking profits when you get a 30% pump. Now, let's look at the rest of the market right now as it is, though. For the week, everyone is still up. XRP for the week is still holding 13.7%. Polygon doing the best, really, overall for this week. And I'm sorry, I got allergies or something. My nose is itching bad today. But for the day, not terrible, down 2%. But again, everything is down for today. So the second indicator we look at is ETFs, okay? Now, I used to go through this every single time and refresh because I could see exactly how much was being pulled in. But I've been working with this new tool and we can actually just quickly see what is being held in vaults right now. So as of right now, this moment, with all of these ETFs, including the index ETFs, right? This does include what's being held in the index ETFs. Right here, you can see each individual one. And in the index ETFs, there's another 27.5 million. So currently right now, looking at 773 million XRP locked into trust, worth 1.7 million or 1.7 billion. So again, this is the second indicator I look at: supply and demand. We look at what's happening on exchanges. We're down to about roughly 2 billion worth on exchanges ish. You know, we saw the last update about a week ago through Glassnode. So we're down to about 2 billion-ish XRP on exchanges. the total liquid supply that's rumored out there as far as what's actually available to be moving around in wallets and sell, like stuff that's not held in custodian wallets and things like that. There's rumored to be about 14 to 15 billion. So when I look at supply, I'm constantly looking at my math model that we came up with that is based on supply and demand. Every 500 to 1 billion essentially XRP that is removed, we're looking at a 20 to 40% pump. Or excuse me, every 250 million to 500 million XRP removed and locked away, we're looking at about a 20 to 40% pump. We just had one from the first 500 million that we talked about. That's what just happened at the beginning of January. So now this lines up at the end of January, potentially. We're at 700 million locked up now. So we're looking at a potential another 20 to 40% increase that is imminent. Again, we lagged about a week last time. So maybe next week we get another 20 to 40% pump. But EMA 9 is adding up. EMA 9 is adding up right now. So if we hold EMA 9, if the ETFs continue to accumulate, lining up with the math model, that's two indicators that price is starting to go up. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Nothing in here is financial advice, but let me know what you think. Let me know in the chat. I appreciate you all taking your time to be here today. Once I get through everything, I'm going to go through one more indicator, and then we also have the news and a couple other things I wanted to show you. So let me know, and then by the time we get to the end of the stream, I'll hop into the chat and we'll do a live Q&A with everyone who's here today. So moving on, let's hop into the third indicator, and something everyone should have is XRP scan. If you're an XRP holder, you should have XRP scan. This is going to show you exactly what's happening on the ledger. Now I've done a couple shorts on it. Some of you may have seen it. I talk about it every day in stream, but what I've been paying attention to is account set activity. Why is this important? Well, if you look at the life of the ledger, real quickly, if we look at the lifetime of the ledger, you can see that the account set activity has been higher and more continuous, and there has been more activity in this last 2 months than in the entire history of the ledger. The only time there was a bigger spike was at the beginning of the ledger when things were getting started. And you can see once there's a spike, payment data typically follows. Let's go to all time for payments. Spike, and then payments ramp up. And then there's a spike in account sets. And then later, there's a payments ramp up. Okay. We just had the biggest spike in account sets ever. Okay. Payments is not ramping up yet. If we look at it a little bit closer, look at the 1 year, we can see things have slowly started to ramp up. But again, we're waiting to see payments activity come from what's happening here. Now, we also have to talk. I just gave you all the indicators that could potentially show which way this thing is going to teeter-totter, essentially. However, a couple risk factors we need to take into account. Looming potential government shutdown. There is a growing increase. I don't want to say growing increase, because if we actually take a look at the data, there's about a 23.8% chance of a government shutdown at the end of the month. If we have a government shutdown, that could impact the clarity bill. Now there's talks about it being done in January, right? But again, it has to get written off. It has to go to the president. I don't know if it's going to be signed in January, but we should get some movement, right? We should definitely get some movement in January. Should be done by the end of Q1. But if the government shuts down, that could screw it up. Again, not financial advice, but something to think about. There's a 23% chance. And when you're paying attention to this, you can also see it impacted in the markets. The markets hate uncertainty. They hate uncertainty. They would rather have the bad news than whatever the heck is going on. They would rather have the bad news than not knowing what's going to go on, for lack of a better word. So when we're in here, let me take a look here. Let's see here. Oh, I do not like the way that looks. Let me pull that off here. Okay. I'm messing around trying different things here, and some of them I just do not like. Let's get into the news, shall we? Let's cover the news. Fear and greed index is starting to pull back now. We are at 46. We had it up to a 52 at one point when we were, up in 240 land, but the news. Let's talk about the news. The Flare Network launches its first XRP spot exposure on Hyperliquid. So what does this mean? More DeFi options for your XRP. Flare is building out massively this year. Again, not financial advice. I have picked up a little bit of Flare over the last couple months because I do think that they're going to perform well building out for XRP. But Flare has listed FXRP on Hyperliquid, making it the first time XRP spot exposure is available on the platform. Again, more interoperability. Interoperability is good. Cross-chain is fantastic. XRP trading on Hyperliquid had previously been limited to just futures or perpetual futures with no spot market until now. So because they have now wrapped it in Flare, they can use it on the Hyperliquid or use it on Hyperliquid. Again, more DeFi. DeFi is good. Ripple uses Amazon Bedrock to transform XRP ledger operations. This is bigger than people realize, okay? Ripple is partnered with Amazon before this, mind you, okay? That being said, XRPL log analysis drops from days to minutes. So basically what this is going to do, it's going to allow them to monitor the ledger at scale for problems to prevent any issues. Amazon Bedrock links logs to code for faster issue resolution. Engineers focus on upgrades while AI handles anomaly detection. So they're just going to constantly be improving the ledger. Real-time node monitoring improves the performance and reliability, and AI-driven insights prepare the ledger for higher traffic for smart contracts. So again, adoption, infrastructure, build out. Is it me, or does XRPL never stop improving? I feel like once a week or once every 2 weeks, we are hearing something about the XRP ledger being improved. I hardly hear, and maybe it's because I'm not as plugged into other things, but when I'm doing regular generic crypto research, I'm not seeing hardly anything for the other ledgers improving their ledger, essentially. It's always about layer 2s and things like that, but this is layer 2s and directly on ledger. Ripple is going out and partnering to improve the ledger. That is bullish. So those are the 3 indicators we are looking at. Do you think it's a bear trap? Do you think it's a breakout? Right now, it is literally deciding. It's literally too soon to tell. I hate to say that to you, but we should know within the next 24 hours which way this is going to go. If we start pushing higher and it's looking like we're going to close above this, then that is signaling a breakout scenario. If it goes lower, it's going to signal, if it closes below this line and then starts pumping back up and testing it again, I have a feeling we're going to chop here for a day or two. So we just need to keep an eye on EMA 9 right now and keep an eye on ETF flows. We saw a big outflow yesterday. Not good, right? We don't want to see that. But it recovered nicely today. So without further ado, let me hop into the chat. Some people showed up earlier today. Some people showed up at noon because I typically do live stream at noon, but I had something going on earlier today. So hopefully it didn't throw too many people off. I did say at the end of the last stream, I was going to be streaming tonight. But hopefully I get some new people in here and we can talk. Let's see here. Crypto Roger said, what happened to the noon show? Sorry, Roger. Hopefully you caught the replay. I'm guessing you were there at noon and saw it wasn't going on. John Beal said he bought a new token on Coinbase last night. This morning it was isolated by Coinbase. It was a spam token. I got my money back. Could this infect other coins on the exchange? It shouldn't, because they should all be on different blockchains. If you didn't transfer it to a wallet, you shouldn't have compromised a wallet, and you don't own anything that technically on an exchange. You have a contract with the exchange and they hold it for you. So technically the exchange custodies the crypto there. Again, not financial advice. Stephen Haynes said, going up against the Ole Miss Miami game. I guess so. I honestly don't follow college football, to tell you the truth, Stephen. I probably should, but I've been more of a pro fan. And to be honest, this year with the NFL, and I really haven't, I don't know. I've just been kind of losing interest. I hate to say it that way, and it's not because the Chiefs are doing bad. I started losing interest last year. So yeah, anyway, enough about football. Raul said hello to everybody. Breton Hodge said, what do you think about Amazon and XRP news? I think that's the Amazon and XRP news is incredibly bullish. But again, Ripple's been a partner of Amazon for years now. We've already known that. But I do think it's bullish that they are really, really beefing up the privacy and the security on the XRP ledger. They just did the quantum upgrade last week. Like they're improving the ledger every single week, it seems like. So I think it's incredibly bullish. Why are they building out? I mean, they are the most secure, almost, I think. I mean, can you think of anyone more secure? Someone tell me a blockchain more secure than XRPL right now. Quantum safe. Now they got everything going on with the AI and Amazon and AWS. Is there a more secure blockchain right now? Let me know in the chat. But I think it's incredibly bullish, Breton. Kevin Hawthorne said, good evening from Lakeland, Florida. Thank you for joining, Kevin. Race fan said, good evening, everyone. He's here for a nice little pace lap. He's a racing fan, obviously. His name's freaking Race Fan. So hopefully that answered my own question. I'm a little loopy tonight, everybody. Desiree Bella said, looking good. Fingers crossed for a breakout. Me too. But I want to see us break back up above 220. I think if we get a good push above 220, that's a solid signal. But if we get a push down to like 208 or something like that, that's a bad signal. You know what I'm saying? Kind of looking in that range. Let's see here. Sir Charles is in the house. He's got the beer. Oh, because it's nighttime. I got you, Charles. So usually he joins me in the mornings. I typically stream in the morning. And yeah, so he switched from coffee to beer today. Banjo Johnson said bear trap for sure. It very well could be. It's gonna have a lot to do with what happens with a potential government shutdown, what happens with tariffs tomorrow, right? Tariff news tomorrow, that could send it one way or another. There's just so much happening macroeconomically right now. There's so much uncertainty on what's going to go down over the next 3 weeks now. Our country is a mess, man. It stinks, but yeah, so I mean that is an unfortunate problem that we have to deal with. Let's see here. So bear trap for sure. I mean, very possibly if things go badly. CMGH said, what events need to happen for XRP to decouple from Bitcoin? I think a decoupling could happen a couple of different ways. The first way would be a complete explosion of Bitcoin in the sense of a bad way, like Tether blowing up or, something that's going to crash Bitcoin. But again, if Bitcoin crashes, that is going to take down the entire crypto market unless utility is in play and there's a use case, a clarified use case that will be able to push it further. Keep in mind, legal clarity is important. We need legal clarity because right now the pro CFTC, the pro Fed, the pro SEC, all that stuff is administration based, right? Nothing is signed in the law. All of it can be changed with a new administration. So large players are not going to feel comfortable building on things until they get clarity that's not going to be overridden in the next administration. I really think that's what we're waiting on to get the real big institutions involved. Again, my opinion, but that's why I think BlackRock only has, their Bitcoin ETF. And you see what I'm saying? And there's BlackRock having Ethereum ETF. They only have the ones that they have real full legal clarity on. And I think that's the big, massive issue. So decoupling from Bitcoin would have to crash or utility needs to come on for XRP that's going to cause it to be used and elevate the price, which would be seen in that we would be able to see that first on Ledger in the payment activity. Again, my opinion. Andre said CNBC pumping XRP. Yeah, we talked about that one yesterday. Let's see. Let me get caught up in here. Alan Potter said, people are pulling back from XRP ETFs because they're seeing no real upside. XRP is a stagnant token. XRP is still down 35% from this time last year. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is down from this time last year. But you also have to think this time last year, it did not have, it was still being sued by the SEC. You have to remember, a lot of these projects had 5 years to build partnerships and things like that within the US while the SEC was suing Ripple. No one would talk to Ripple. No one would do anything with XRP on an institutional level or building out within the United States until they had that clarity. And now we still need legal clarity. They're just not getting sued right now, is the only thing. Again, my opinion. But again, I'm looking at the payments data. XRP is not going to move like these other tokens because they're centered around payments. They need payments volume, and they're not going to get payments volume until they have clarity. My opinion, not financial advice. Andre said, man, my nose is really itchy today. Andre said Main Street will be waking up to XRP. Eventually, I agree with you. Eventually, they'll wake up to it. But again, it needs payments volume. Outflow might be good. 1 billion inflow did nothing. Well, again, supply and demand. We need the supply and demand, and we won't. It needs payment utility. It needs payment volume. We really, really need clarity for XRP. We're seeing the account set activity. Let me go ahead and hop into a recap for everyone. Again, keep the chat going. I'm going to come back to it. I appreciate all of you for engaging in the chat and taking the time to be here today. But let's go ahead and hop into a recap real quick. So we talked about, is this a breakout or is this a bear trap? We're looking at EMA 9 on the 1 week chart. EMA 9 on the 1 week chart has been an indicator for every XRP breakout to this point. You can see if we break EMA 9 with volume and then close and push up again, that has been what has moved all of these breakouts for XRP. As you can see, we bounced off our bottom support. We pushed all the way up to EMA 9, tested it, blew past it, and now we came back and we're testing it again. If we give up EMA 9 for the 1 week and fall, we can come all the way down and retest $1.75 again. If we push back up, that's what opens us up to these much larger moves like we've had in the past. Again, not financial advice, but that is the first indicator. The second indicator we were talking about are ETF inflows, and not just ETF inflows. Specifically, what is being held in ETF vaults, right? XRP that's locked up, that's no longer circulated, that's not available for sale. So 773 million XRP worth 1.7 billion are currently locked into trust. This lines up with the math model that I created before based on what was happening with XRP price. So far, how it has played out is every 250 to 500 million XRP, which is 5 to 10% of what is available on exchanges. Anyway, so that's assuming 5 billion XRP on exchanges, by the way. So anyway, 250 million to 500 million XRP being removed from exchanges causes a trigger of 20 to 40%. We just got our first one from the first 500. We had a 30% appreciation last week. That being said, once we get 700 to 1.3 billion, we're now at 800 million, okay? According to this, we're at 800 million now. So once we get 700 to 1.3 billion, it should trigger another 20 to 40% increase. So if that lines up with potential clarity or something like that that happens in mid-January, we could see another 20 to 40% increase here in mid-January to the end of the month based on the supply math model. And that lines up with the chart and the 1 week EMA. So if this pushes up, it will line up with not one, but two indicators, okay? Now, what is our third indicator? Our third indicator is on-chain activity. We have been following account set data. Over the last 2 months, there has been more account set activity than there has been in the history of the ledger. What is account set activity? This is accounts getting set up. That's the easiest way to explain it. And this level, this amount is not retail. Retail doesn't mess with account set activity. This is for new people coming on, getting ready to use it. And it directly correlates with payments. Throughout the history of the ledger, if we look at it if we look at all time and we look at all time for payments, you can see this nose, man. You can see that every single time there's been a spike in account set activity, it triggers a lag of payments afterwards. The first big spike was right here when everything started getting turned on. Payments followed, right? Payments followed. The next big spike was right here, okay? Right when they started doing pilots and stuff like that in 2020. Payments followed. Payments followed right here. Okay. So now we just got a giant spike of account set activity. If payment activity follows, price will follow. If this payment activity ramps up, price will ramp up. I am 100,000,000% confident in that. No doubt. Now, again, you could, my nose, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I don't know why my nose is itching, but I must have got a bug bite or something on my nose. Again, if you want to follow me on X, you can follow me at LongView Crypto. I do retweet. I do post things out there. I post updates. I put whenever I see things on the chart, I'll immediately post it. So you can follow me on X at LongView Crypto if you want to see the information there first before it gets to the stream. We also covered Flare Network having FXRP going live on Hyperliquid for spot trading. Again, more interoperability is key. Interoperability is massive. That's what's going to grow in 2026. We also discussed Ripple uses Amazon Bedrock to transform XRP ledger operations. They are constantly building out the ledger. This is going to make it more secure. This is what institutions, major players are going to want. Think about how widely they are tapped in with G Treasury, Ripple Prime, JP Morgan, all of these things. They're working with BlackRock and Ondo to start tokenizing on the XRP ledger as well. Japan is tokenizing everything on the XRP ledger. They are going above and beyond. Now, a lot of people are talking about a scare from a government shutdown. Right now, there's a 23% chance that the government will shut down at the beginning of January. Not very likely at this point, but it is on the radar and something we do have to pay attention to. Now, with all that being said, that is the recap. I am going to hop back into the chat. Let me get out of this screen for you guys so I can finish talking to the rest of you. Alan Potter said, imagine buying XRP last January at $3.34 in the hope that it will be $5 to $10 by end of the year and being 35% down your investment. And with all the so-called positive that have happened this year, a lot of people are in that place, Alan. And that's why it's really important to know what you hold. And that's why this channel, I know a lot of people have done and said a lot of things with price predictions and things like that. But this channel is about the long view. We're about a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We're not about what the price is necessarily today or tomorrow. I'm giving it to you in context, trying to let people know what's going on. But I'm here, me personally, I'm looking at this as a long-term investment. I'm more of a, hate to say it, I'm more of a boomer investor than anything else, okay? But I am involved in crypto and technology. I like to invest in things that solve problems, okay? Crypto solves a problem, right? AI solves a problem. Alternative energy solves a problem. Precious metals solve a problem. There's lots of things that I'm invested in. One of my big ones is XRP because I believe in the problem that it solves. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Let's see here. Alan Potter said Jake Claver destroyed a lot of people's belief in XRP with the fairy tale predictions. Yeah, you're not wrong. He did. And it's very unfortunate, but at the same time, it's honestly kind of why I'm here, because a lot of people who saw Jake Claver's predictions are finding my channel and seeing a different way to view XRP, as aside from the $100 and $1,000 and $10,000 price predictions, trying to show people a different way, Alan. Yeshua said, good evening, everyone. Most of my family and friends tell me XRP is a scam, and I've watched even YouTubers say the same thing. Know what you hold, Yeshua. Know what you hold. And if you're nervous, you can always diversify. If you are not confident in your research to hold it through the storms, then it might not be necessarily the best asset for you to hold. I personally have full belief in it. Now, a lot of people say it's a scam because it's been so overhyped. It's not going to be $100 or $1,000 in the blink of an eye. A lot of people were sold that. And because that was the bill of goods they were being sold, it appears to be a scam. But that's why I'm saying I'm here for what the price is going to be 10 years from now, not for what it's going to be tomorrow or a week from now. Okay, I don't plan to be a millionaire overnight. And if it were to happen, I would love to be wrong. I'll be the first person to sit here and eat my humble pie saying I was wrong on my stack of XRP. But I'm in it for the long haul, not for tomorrow. Hopefully that answers your question. Nathan Brinkman said, with the United States seizing oil from Venezuela, do you see a prediction of a spike on oil still? I don't right now, not at this market, not at this point, unless something goes terribly wrong macroeconomically. I'm more worried about Russia and things going on with Russia right now with this whole ship scenario that's going on than I am about oil. If you guys have paid attention, though, oil prices have fallen drastically since the whole Venezuela thing. It looks like it might be helping our economy more than hurting our economy, at least right now. But I think a more geopolitical issue would have a bigger impact on the economy and the prices right now than necessarily oil prices. We'll see how it plays out. But again, that's take everything with a grain of salt. Everything's getting pumped up and inflated every which way from Sunday because people need to get the views. And no one clicks anything unless it's out of this world, it seems like. Again, my opinion. Brett Hodge said, thoughts on XRPL and Amazon partnership. Hope you didn't answer this. Thanks. I did answer it. Hopefully you caught it. But again, I think it's very, very bullish. Now, again, remember, Ripple's been partnered with Amazon for a long time. This is not new news that they're partnered together. But the fact that they're working together to beef up the ledger tells me that Amazon is invested in using the ledger. That is bullish. Okay. They're not going to partner to improve the ledger if they didn't plan on using the ledger. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Marcus says XRP is the bridge currency. The other tokens are the cars. Invest in the bridge asset. That's right. The other tokens are the cars. Well, we need the other tokens to get on the ledger so they have something to bridge. Right now, it's mainly just XRP and RLUSD sitting on ledger, right? And they don't need a bridge for RLUSD. So until we start getting things like the RL yen, the RL peso, the RL franc, the RL euro, the RL whatever you want to call it, until tokenized real estate, tokenized securities, tokenized bonds, whatever, until we start getting value on ledger to swap between, until there's like a ledger DEX, if you will, of all these things that XRP actually bridges, we're not going to see that payments volume increase. My opinion, not financial advice. Owned by my kitty. Okay. Owned by my kitty said, what makes you think XRP will definitely be used for settlements and even derivatives? What if they decide to go with another asset or group of assets or their own internal solution? I feel people are going too much conviction and belief as opposed to concrete evidence. Okay. This is an excellent point. So again, my channel is here for the long view. XRP is not the only thing I hold, okay? I hold HBAR, I hold Chainlink, I hold Ondo, I hold many others. My biggest investments are XRP, HBAR, and Chainlink because those are the ones I believe in the most for return on investment. I have said many, many times that I believe that the crypto market is going to be a lot like the internet.com bubbles in the early 2000s, late 90s. I was around that time. I was 18 in 2002. Okay. I graduated the year after the bubble burst. Okay. But watching how all that happened and researching how all of that happened, it makes me think that this is actually going to move the same way, that there's going to be a handful of winners that come out of this. And it's not our job to pick which one. I don't think there's going to be a one token. I think there will be a handful that move forward, and it's going to be the ones that have real utility, adoption, and use case. Look at the partnerships, follow the investments, follow the acquisitions. I don't believe they've built out the XRPL this large with this much money for them not to use XRP, okay? I don't believe that, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. That's me, not financial advice, but I have researched XRP for 7 years and seen the ups and downs of it, okay? I've been around doing this for a little bit. I've just been on YouTube for a little bit. That being said, I hope that answers your question, but I do think people need to have a clearer understanding of the risk and a more temperate understanding of their expectations. Most people completely overestimate what they can do in a year and completely underestimate what they can do in a decade. If you've been dollar cost averaging into crypto for the last decade, you're retired on the beach right now, right? Patience, time, learn from the mistakes, okay? If you haven't been dollar cost averaging it over the last 10 years, again, not financial advice, but now is an excellent time to start. Adoption is happening. This is moving forward. Blockchain will be used at scale. We're at the beginning, okay? Think of trying to predict what was going to happen to the internet when the first time you got into an AOL chat room, okay? We're not even really at that part yet. People aren't hardly using any crypto at scale right now. We are at the beginning. We are at the precipice of how this whole thing is going to play out. So I hope that answers your question. Jay Torrance says, I'm okay with long-term holding. Let's just get a stable price around $5. Yeah, I mean, an appreciation would feel nice, right? Give some people some warm and fuzzy feelings. We really, really need to push through that 290 to 320 sell area. That's going to be the biggest level of resistance for us as we try to push up. That's where all that selling pressure has been for the last 6 months. We got to clear that area and push to new all-time highs. And once we get to new all-time highs, we're in price discovery. It could go to $5. It could go to $10. We have no idea how freaking high it will go once we actually push into price discovery, but we got to get there first. Let's see here. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Stephen Haynes said, do you feel XRP is the biggest crypto in need of clarity, or do you feel all the cryptos are in the same boat? I feel all of the cryptos, with the exception of Bitcoin and Ethereum, are in the same boat for the need for clarity. Ethereum does still need it. I don't think that these larger players are leaning in until they have legal written structure that cannot change with a new administration. Why are they going to pump in billions and trillions of dollars in investment into a particular asset if they don't know they'll be able to use that asset in 4 years? You know what I'm saying? We need more clarity. Right now, it's still too risky for the bigger players. My opinion, not financial advice. D Money says, how long do you think the price will go? How low do you think the price will go during a crash? And during the bounce back, what does the price land at? So if we crash, we'll test the levels on the way down, right? We'll test everything on the way down. So let's see where we're at right now. We'll talk about it together real quick. So if we were to crash, right, we aren't able to flip EMA 9 and we continue down. The first test is going to be the $2 psychological level. That's not the line I follow. For me, the level is 195. And then it's 186, and then it's the 175 to 177 level. If we fall below 175, I don't think we'll go below 175. I say that because we have not fallen below that in over a year and a month or two, okay? That has been our strongest level of support. There was a $3.1 billion purchase at that level in November. So there's a lot of money sitting at that $1.75 level to buy. Believe it or not, I was actually looking at a chart. I can't remember where I saw it from. Forgive me. But I was actually looking at a chart that there's a lot of buy orders sitting at this like 205 level. So again, I think that again, I wouldn't really call that a crash. I just call that a retest. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a bear trap, we're going to go back and retest the previous low level. And to me, that's $1.75. Again, if we don't hold at this 202 to 205 level, if it falls, because there is a ton of buy orders there. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Let's see here. Yeshua says, do you think Ripple is keeping the price down? No, I don't. I'm not of that belief. I know a lot of people think that they are, and there's a lot of people talking about that. I don't believe it benefits them at all to suppress the price. If you have 40 billion XRP, suppressing the price doesn't help you, right? Again, my opinion, I could be wrong, but it just logically does not make sense in my brain for any reason why they would suppress the price. Just me. Maybe I'm losing it. Let's see here. Owned by my kitty says, my concern is that XRP is relatively old now and there are newer non-blockchain crypto technologies. Yes, it is a little bit older now, but at the same time, who has the level of partnerships and infrastructure that they have? Think about it. If we're going by just what's old, Swift would have been gone a decade ago. Okay. Think of how much, like, Swift is just now starting to integrate blockchain. Okay. So, yeah, I understand that there's newer solutions coming on. And this is a rapidly adapting landscape, if you will. But crypto's been around now for 10, 15 years, and they're just now starting to warm up to it. You think they're gonna hop on something else immediately? I don't think so. Again, my opinion, not financial advice, but that's why we hedge, right? That's why I own multiple different assets. That's why I own silver and copper, and that's why I own AI stocks, and that's why I own alternative energy stocks. Okay, I'm looking at all the different problems. We're not going to get them all right. We throw the best darts we can. But I will tell you this: if you have, for instance, so quick little scope of the LongView system, oversimplified, okay? 4 pillars. You need 4 pillars. You need 4 things that you believe in no matter what. Go do your research, something that you wholeheartedly believe in. You don't care if price goes up and down because you know in 10 years it's going to be great, okay? Find those 4 things, okay? And when you invest your money, whatever amount it is, I suggest 10% of every single check. Again, not financial advice, but I suggest 10% of every single check. You pay yourself first and then you live off the rest. So that 10%, you split it 5 ways, 4 pillars, and then the other 20% you put into riskier dart throws. And that's how you build your riskier bag, if you will. Again, my opinion, not financial advice, but you have to find something that works for you, that you can stick with, that you can build over time, because the pump and dump thing, more people get wrecked than ever make money doing that. And I don't want to see you guys lose a bunch of money. My opinion, not financial advice. Let's see. You guys are blowing up the chat. I appreciate it. Let me get back into the chat here. Crypto Roger said, forget about the crash. Buy every time you have money. Dollar cost average in is basically what he's saying. It takes time. It goes in steps. If you believe in it, know what you hold. We're in it for the long haul. Raul says he wants it to go under $1.70 because he wants to buy. Okay. Yeah, you were talking about that earlier, Raul. You were mad when it pumped up to 240 because you were getting ready to buy some more. Marcus Moore said, exactly, it takes time. Time is on our side. Folks laughed at Amazon bookstore, laughed at Netflix over Blockbuster, but the factor of time told the story. We are in transition to the future of finance. I agree with you, Marcus. And you actually I referenced Amazon multiple times in my stream, so that makes me smile that you're thinking of it the same way. But yeah, because Amazon, and remember, when everyone's talking about how things are going right now, what did Ripple and XRP start as? They focus solely on cross-border payments, okay? What did Amazon start as? An online bookstore, right? Cheap books. What is Amazon now, right? What is Ripple now? They have a full deck. Now we have DeFi and native staking, and they're doing custody and all of these things, getting a bank charter. They have not stayed the same. They are adapting and branching out, getting into tokenization, right? All of these things, they are not just cross-border payments. They are adapting to the environment. That is bullish. Again, my opinion. So I agree with you, Marcus, very much so. Quelly said, sorry if it's already covered, just logged in. I have several questions. I'll do my best, Quelly. We'll see. Jake Claver says cold wallets could be hacked by quantum computer. If that's the case, what protection would companies like his offer? Private treasury. So number one, yes, quantum computers could hack cold wallets. However, important distinction. Most people do not understand this when we're talking about cold wallets, okay? When you're storing your crypto in a quote unquote cold wallet, your crypto never leaves the ledger, okay? It actually never comes off the blockchain. You just need the keys and the cold storage wallet to access it. So in order to be safe from quantum computing, you need to be storing or have a blockchain that is quantum safe. XRP is quantum safe. Now, if you're going to use a cold storage wallet, I would highly recommend an air gapped cold storage wallet, so you know that there's nothing funny on that wallet that could potentially make it at risk later. But as far as quantum computing threats, if you are an XRP ledger, you should be safe. And so your XRP should be safe. So really is whatever blockchain you're holding it on, because remember they're interoperable between different blockchains, right? So whatever blockchain you're holding your crypto on, is it quantum safe is the more important question. Hopefully that answers you, Quelly. What do I think about Wisdom Tree backing out? I honestly think that I think it has to do with the FUD and clarity. I think they're just waiting for clarity. I think a lot of them are waiting for clarity. And with a potential fear of the government shutdown right now, there's a lot of things up in the air with the tariffs and stuff right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. And if I were them and I didn't know what the markets were going to look like in a year or in a month, then yeah, I would probably hold off on it too right now. Again, my opinion. I think they're just waiting to see what the market's going to do over the next month because there's so much stuff up in the air with crypto. Why risk it? They haven't purchased anything or sold any shares yet. So they just don't want to take the gamble. And there's been so much on inflows, are they late to the party maybe? That's what they got to figure out. That's my opinion on it. Let's see here. Yeshua says, if prices go to 3-4 digits, can the exchanges pay everyone? Probably not. And again, but if it goes to 3-4 digits, I think they're going to pause buying and selling. And like, if we had, you have to think, the catastrophic event for something like that to happen overnight, something would have to break in a very bad way. We don't know what the world is going to look like right then. So no, they wouldn't be able to pay everyone out. Now, that's the thing though. They can mint more stable coins, right? It's all going to be digital. And again, just because, and it's not necessarily about them being able to pay anyone out. Can exchanges pay anyone out? Remember, it's only going to be worth $1,000 if someone's willing to buy it for $1,000. Okay. Value is only determined by what someone is willing to pay for it. Period. Look at toilet paper from 5 years ago, right? Let's see. Hopefully that answered your question. I answered the how low will price go, blah, blah, and then rebound up. I answered that. Potential all-time highs. Do I know anything about Evernorth possibly being affected by the DAT reclassification January 15th? I don't think Evernorth is going to be affected by the DAT reclassification on January 15th. If it does, again, we don't know if there will be a reclassification. There's a potential for a reclassification, but I don't think it's going to hurt Evernorth per se, because their business is not determined by the price of XRP, right? Basically, the whole thing with the DAT treasury companies is the price of their stock is determined by them going out and buying more Bitcoin, right? Or more Ethereum or whatever the case may be, whatever the treasury thing is. Their whole concept is when price goes up, they improve. What causes price to go up? Well, you buy it. So they keep buying it. Price keeps going up. And it ends up becoming more like a fund than an actual business. I don't think that's going to impact Evernorth because Evernorth doesn't have a massive impact on XRP's price. And even if Evernorth was going out and buying a ton of XRP, which they haven't been, but even if they were, then, I mean, you see what I'm saying? I think that's going to have more of an impact for Bitcoin than in the Bitcoin treasuries than it will Evernorth. My opinion. If anything, I think Evernorth will be a saving grace for Ripple because that's an excellent parking spot if Ripple needs to offload XRP, right? So Ripple doesn't get a reclassification since they're trying to be a bank. Again, my opinion, but it's nice that they have partners in their own stack that they can sell it to, you know what I mean? Marcus says Ripple is structuring and building around quantum supercomputing for security ahead of others. Yes, they are. They've already made their ledger quantum secure. D-Money said, you skipped my question 2 times. What did I do to you? I don't think I did. I read your stuff, D-Money. Pretty sure. Yeah, you said, how low do I expect the price to go? I answered that at nauseum. I expect the price to drop. If it does fall, I expect it to go down to as low as $1.75 and hold there based on our support from what we've had at that buy line at the $1.75. And then if it does pump, I think I'm looking at 290 to 320 as the last time we had a whole lot of sell pressure. So I want to see us really pump through that. So really, if it falls under EMA 9, retest $1.75. If it holds EMA 9, I'm looking at a retest of that 290 to 320 area. Hopefully that's a little bit clearer for you, D Money. Marcus Moore said, if you use a wallet, use the company wallet and never communicate with anyone that contacts you, anyone concerned about your assets wants them. Exactly. If you are going to buy a cold storage wallet, it's best to order it directly from the manufacturer, never from a third party. That's it. End of story. Because if you get it from a third party, you can't confirm that they didn't put something on it beforehand. When the price goes 3-4 digits, do you think banks would let you use XRP as collateral? There's some areas where you can already use XRP as collateral. That's already being started. I think we'll have that by the end of the year. I mean, especially when you think about DeFi, you can definitely collateralize it as DeFi. Now you can collateralize it on Bitnomial, right? CFTC. You can use your XRP as collateral there. So there's already areas you can start to do that now, Yeshua. That has already begun. That's what I'm saying. We are at the infancy of adoption. Jose Mendez says, I look at crypto low cost due to institutional adoption and then buying cheap. It's not in institutional buyers' interest to buy at 10,000, but $2 is a hell of a bargain before Clarity, in my opinion. You're not wrong, 1,000,000%. And Clarity just keeps getting kicked down the line from this government shutdown or that government shutdown, and hopefully they get it done this month. Let's see. Quelly says, with all the spot XRP ETFs, if they all follow price of XRP, how come they don't follow up or down in percentage? Example, XRP drops 5%, ETFs drop 2, 3, 7. So here's the thing. A lot of those, don't forget, they also have fees, and then they also hold multiple XRP. And then they also hedge. Some of those hedge with options, or they'll even purchase XRP and then they'll put in shorts against XRP to hedge against it. There's lots of funny stuff that goes within the ETFs. But roughly, that's why you're going to see some minor differences in the ETFs. It has to do with their fee structure and their spreads and all that nonsense. Ripple is ramping up, Gunpowder says, getting ready for high traffic on the XRPL. Amazon Bedrock AI is working with XRP Ledger through collaboration. Yep, that's what we talked about. And you're very welcome, D Money. Well, I've gone through all the questions. I'll do a quick recap for you guys. Let's see. I haven't done a Thursday, and I haven't really done too many evening streams. There's only 31 people in here now. We've gone through the entire chat. I appreciate every single one of you. I think that's all the information I have for you as of right now. Price is falling. It's currently at 210, but I will be back tomorrow at noon. So I will see every single one of you then. All right. I appreciate it. Later.